Because we're talking about inequality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so important to actually realize that when you get to the top side of inequality, because it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like trying to strive for equality, rather equality is a means. So you just try by all means to be on the top side of that inequality. So you're not accepting my argument.
Based on your reasoning, I do.
No, not based on my reasoning.
Based on your reasoning, yes.
We're trying to come
But I
up
wouldn't generalize it.
Bro, I mean, well, you've answered everything. You've answered everything.
Morty.
Limits don't exist till we put them there.
So there's a topic that I've been studying on very heavily, and I think we can kind of touch on this. So what do you know about inequality?
Inequality, I mean, basically inequality is just an equal distribution of resources. Yeah, that's like a general definition I have of inequality, like how resources in general are distributed among different types of people in society.
Statistically speaking, there seems to be an unequal distributions of opportunity of access, or in terms of the starting point is not the same for everybody.
Right.
Right now, as I'm speaking, 10% of the people within the world basically have amassed at least 70 to 75% of the wealth within the entire world, and 50% of the people in the world amass to less than 10% of the wealth within the world. So wealth is basically moving by a lower percentage of people.
Right.
And that's the 10%, less than 10%. So you have that. And inequality normally comes from three things. So the first one is structure. So this is policies. This is the systems or access. The second one, which is the starting point. So you have family, right? You have backgrounds that you grew up. If you grew up most likely from a rich family, you're most likely gonna be rich. If you grew up from a poor family, you're most likely gonna be poor. And the last one is behavior. And so behavior, within that you have skills, disciplines, and all these things that focus on individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those are quite interesting facts about inequality, and I would like to pick you back on the structure. All right. So statistically, I've read the top 1% of the people of the population, the world population, on about, I think, 31% of the entire wealth.
Yeah.
And guess what? The bottom 50% on less than that. So that's just to show how unequal income is distributed. And also, I mean, we're not just talking about income at this point. We're talking about resources in general in the distribution. So when you try to incorporate the factors you mentioned, the politics, the environment, and all that, it's kind of interesting to see just how that economic decisions highly likely tend to favor people of wealthy standard in society. Yeah. And that's kind of interesting to me to find that it doesn't really, it somehow seems like it doesn't really concern someone that is regular or someone that is a layman, someone that is not in that set of people. You get what I mean? To kind of align with those policies. So,
but if the policy affects them, then I think it's worth considering. So like the first one, structure.
Right.
If there's a policy that give distribution unequally, then equity becomes unfair in terms of inequality become unfair. So you have unequal distributions of access,
Right.
unequal distribution of policy, where one policy favor the rich but doesn't favor the poor or a layman, like you say.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's how it is designed, because those are the people that are having money, which is the power,
Yeah.
right? So the decisions will always favor someone of a certain standard, like
Yeah.
these policies and whatnot, which is unfortunate. But yeah, and we also have different other factors like environment, right? Someone that is in the United States, and if we should compare someone in the United States and someone in a third world country, I feel like decisions, rather global economic decisions, affect them differently,
Yeah, fact.
and it's more severe to someone in a environment that is not economically stable
Yeah.
than someone that is in a place that is quote unquote economically stable.
Yeah.
So you can also like look at that as well. So and politics too. But it gets so controversial because it's just like which side of the political view do you stand on? Yeah, so that one is a little bit more controversial.
The politics one is a little bit more controversial, but I think so. If a society, and I think mobility on how you can access wealth faster depends on the mobility of the society. So, for example, if you have an environment structure that allowed for anybody to become wealthy within that environment, so they have equal access to education, equal access to informations and knowledge,
right,
that could potentially lead them to, you know, a maximization of their skill set, which is the last one, right?
Yeah.
And discipline. Then they'll most likely become rich faster than the one who is in an environment that is not favorable toward the distribution of equal access to information.
Exactly. Yeah, you're sometimes a product of where you come from as well.
Yeah.
So I could use myself as an example. I'm not at a place where I was back home, right? Simply because of the place I'm in right now.
Yeah.
So I get to see just how much unequal income is distributed as far as regions and environments are concerned.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's also one of the things. But I also want to piggyback on the second point, though. Behavior, not really the starting point.
Yeah.
Like your background, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of resonates even more also with the environment.
Yeah.
But not really environment. I mean, there's people in first world countries that come from poor backgrounds.
Yeah.
Right. So it's actually true. You are at a higher likelihood. You have a higher likelihood of making it if you come from wealthy background, or you come from a stable background.
Yeah.
You have a higher likelihood of making it. And and I mean, that's why people say life is unfair, you know? Yeah, that's why people say life is unfair, because there's some people that really start this life with nothing at all.
Yeah.
And they just kind of build from there, right? And it's interesting to have to find out that all these rich people that we sort of want to start, rather emulate right now, currently, they didn't necessarily come from poor background. If you do your research and like have your facts right.
Yeah.
For example, Bill Gates. So I was reading the book Psychology of Money, and I got to find out how that guy was one of the few people that attended a school with a computer in his time.
Wow.
You get what I mean, right? So that stems from being in a certain bracket in society. He was one of the few students, and it was, I think that was the first school with like a computer.
Wow.
Like the first, I don't know if it was, no, it was actually a high school. That was the first high school with a computer. So he was one of the few students that attended that school with a computer. And then guess what? Like his wealth stems from that background.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just mainly like, rather I would put it this way, your background actually has an effect on your future.
There's a plethora of people.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a lot of people, there's a lot of examples I can give you. I saw one man making a joke saying who's this, Donald Trump,
Yeah.
was saying that I didn't inherit anything from my dad. The only thing my dad gave me was $1 million. And so yeah, so you see that kind of inequality, and you're like, bro, what do you mean $1 million? That was nothing.
There are families, people who never made $1 million in their life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So your background actually has a huge effect on just how much you would attain potentially in life. It's a lot of examples I could give you. I could talk of Mark Zuckerberg. That guy wasn't really like that poor.
Went to Harvard.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like, you say that guy is a school dropout. Do you know where he dropped out from? He dropped out from Harvard. So these backgrounds, like, some people literally start life at a point of disadvantage.
Yeah.
And some people don't. So it's designed that way.
Yeah. Also, another thing, I think there was a statistic that I say at the beginning of this, that wealth is accumulated by 10% of the world population.
Yeah, exactly.
And what people don't understand, I think, is that wealth is accumulated by itself. Like, it's like so, I think it was Thomas that talk about this, like, capital is compound on capital.
Yeah.
Where incomes, labors does not produce wealth, but what produce wealth is more capital.
Exactly.
I think that's the quote that I was saying. So when it comes to like generational wealth, where it's like people who grew up where their grandfather was rich and their father is rich, there is a system that is already in place that kind of guarantee them to succeed in life.
Exactly.
Because there is sets of skill sets that they are going to learn early on.
Right.
And those skill sets they are going to learn early on would compound into making them higher incomes. High incomes in terms generate them wealth, where they can buy capital, asset, investment, and those investments make them more money. So there's this idea that when you have money will make you more money. And the statement of why is the rich keep getting richer?
Yeah, the rich
poor
keep getting richer, the
getting
poor get poorer. Yeah.
It's because the poor is living on income, right?
Yeah.
And the rich is compounding his wealth by capital.
Right.
And they're using their assets, their investments to earn more money. So there's this idea of saving, right?
Right.
Saving is good. I think we were talking about this in the car. Saving is good to a degree to which it's kind of like an emergency fund. Yeah. But in 20 years from now, that money you put in saving will still be the same. Like, nothing will change.
Exactly.
It will still be the same. Matter of fact, you probably lose if you incorporate inflations, the currencies and all this stuff. But if you invest that money 20 years from now, that money will compound on itself, where it makes you more money. So
yeah, and I always have arguments about savings usually.
Yeah.
With a lot of my colleagues. Savings, I feel like saving is good, right? But it might work to or against you. Rather, it might work for your advantage, to your advantage or against you. And this stems from the fact that one who is saving is in turn not actually making anything from that money, right? But one who is investing has a higher likelihood of amassing more wealth. So saving, like you put it, is just like an emergency fund sitting right there without a guarantee that it's going to increase, right? So imagine you're an employee, you work, and you save everything you get. Rather, you save part of what you get, and of course consume some. You keep saving. I can say for a fact that no matter how much you get paid, you can't get wealthy.
Yeah.
You don't get wealthy from saving. Like it's impossible. Like you just having the money, you can't get wealthy from saving.
Yeah.
Because also you put into account like different factors that also affect savings.
Yeah. And it's consumable.
Yeah, it's consumable too. Like it's just there for precautions purposes, maybe. Or yeah. But it would be good to actually save for a purpose of investment.
Yeah.
Until a certain point. That would be good.
Yes.
But if you just look at but if you just look at saving as amassing money without any plan for it, you would just be at the same point. And I think I was telling you earlier that I feel like I've struggled with that for a long time. Yeah, I've struggled with that for a long time, where you are. I was because right now I've like broadened my perspective around savings and actually want to put my money wherever I can find everywhere. Yeah. So, yeah, what was I even about to say?
Saving.
Oh yeah, I was talking about saving. Yeah, you kind of like don't really have anything guaranteed for you if you're just keeping the money without a plan of investing it. And investment is where you generate more returns.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to generate more returns and not actually try to keep money for precautions purposes, because there's always going to be something coming up for you to sort of like use some of that emergency fund to.
But there's no system of replenishing.
Exactly.
If you spend that money. So your only primary income is your income, basically. Your only primary saving grace is your income. You know the book of the richest man in Babylon?
Right.
And I think one of his law, as I'll say, principle of amassing wealth was that you have to save 10% of your income. And then after you save 10% of your income, take that income and invest it into an investment. And the way you do that is, if you don't know about that investment,
right,
find someone who knows about it.
Yep.
Learn from them, and then understand more about it. So, Dangote, the Nigerian,
the richest black man
in the world. I was watching a video and he said, everything that I invest my money into, I make sure I read at least 5 to 10 books on it. Before I can even invest into that particular set of investment. So knowing where you invest, because I think in most cases we would invest money into something, not really knowing what we're investing into, and then when we lose the money, it's like, oh, I lost the money. So most people, I would not say most people, generally speaking, I've noticed, especially in our society or community, is that we are prone to wanting to get into like get rich quick scheme.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we feel like if I invest money into this, someone else is getting money from it. I will get money from it. But there's also information that is surrounding that particular investment that you need to learn. And one of the second structures coming from a family that has that.
That's what I was about. That's what I was about to say. Usually, statistically speaking, right, you see these people that want to get rich quick.
Yeah.
I would say 9 out of 10 times, these are people that come from a background that is in luck, right? Luck could be a big word. Like, well, an unstable background.
Yeah.
Where wealth is not really guaranteed for you. Those are people, rather we are people that fall in the bracket of people that want to generate wealth quickly. Hence, not still making it at the end of the day, right? And also, I feel like even if there's ways in which you can invest, even if there's different people you can emulate, I feel like amassing wealth is something you can't emulate. I feel like you would have to at least rather do something different from what everybody else has done, and also fall on the side of luck, where luck is just on your side. Because I mean, okay, look at it, right? Let's take, for instance, the richest person right now, and bring several people that want to be like him. There are a lot of people that try to do things exactly as he did it. The discipline and everything exactly as he did it. But it's highly unlikely that they would fall in that category in which he falls, right? So it kind of shows just how much that you can know information and still not be able to like apply it in a right way. So that's where like trying as much as you can to gather every bit of information you can and going into the fact of actually applying it in a sense. So that's kind of how I look at it.
You know what's interesting that I'm thinking about this is that we can say that we came from not big of like a background in terms of wealth. It's moving from pillar to post, right?
Yeah.
We don't really have any stability, but there's a desire in us, and there's some form of like motivation or assurance that we know we're gonna make it in life. Like there's this instinctive desire of like, I'm gonna make it. Like I'm gonna making it is not like just saying making it. It's like I'm gonna be a millionaire, something like that.
Oh yeah.
So it's like and I think that stems from knowing that we have the desire in us, and that's the prerequisite, right? Having the desire in you, because like the last part of the structure is behavior.
Yeah.
Where it stems from discipline, skill sets. If you can maximize on your skill sets, on your value, you will get it. Right. So the ball fall on your hand, but there's also environment. There is also the systems, and then all those you can account for as luck, I would say. So for someone like Elon Musk, I don't know if you read the biography of Elon Musk, but it seems as if he came from nothing as well, and he amassed that much wealth. I don't think he came from nothing, but
he came from nothing. That guy used to go to high school in a Lamborghini or something. They used to drop him in a very expensive car. Bro, these guys had some level of starting point.
Their starting point was, I would say, higher. But there's also this idea of like mobility within a society. Like I said, there's a high mobility in a society. Like America, I would say. Yeah. I say America probably has higher mobility than every other society compared to other countries. Other society pretty much might have more, but America does have high mobility, I would say. So if you start from nothing, you are most likely end with something. Like you most likely end up somewhere. Yeah. Then if you were to take the same scenario in a different country, that would be different. So, I mean, he came from South Africa, went to Canada, and then came here. Ultimately, this is where he became the richest man in the world. Yeah. So, time, space, time that he was in, chances, luck, opportunity, all this kind of like compounded.
Yeah. And I would like to piggyback on the last bracket where you said it inequality also stems from like skill sets, discipline, and all that stuff. And I think that's kind of also interesting. And that's kind of where it takes a shift. If you're one who actually looks at it from a way of trying to break free from that inequality standard, right? That's where it takes a shift, because we've talked about all these policies, political standpoint, and structures and whatnot. We've also talked about your background, like where you come from, and all that stuff. However, even with how strong the theories and the just how strong everything is, like the facts rather, how the theories and facts are, there's still a way you can position yourself to ensure that at least you fall on the fortunate side of the society, quote unquote. Like discipline, for example, right? I feel like a lot of people, even those who claim they have discipline, if you check properly, they don't. Yeah, because I mean, discipline to me is not a series of discipline is not a series of convenient events.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you don't know you're disciplined until you're faced with an event that is inconvenient for you.
That is true.
Yeah. You don't know you're disciplined until you're faced with. So, discipline is a very vital tool to actually at least ending up on the upper side of society. Yeah. Trying to make sure that you break free from inequality as far as the world view and global perspective is concerned. Yeah, discipline. And also we also incorporate like your skill sets. Like what skills are you investing into yourself? Like we kind of have a lot of people that just want to wake up on a random day and they're very wealthy or they're very good, right? But forgetting the fact that there's different skills that you would have to invest in yourself for you to end on the bright side of society, as well. So, and I like to look at skills as what do you want to do, right? Like what do you want to do, and then what do you want to do, rather what you want to do incorporated with how the world is working right now, right? So investing in your skills, rather investing in what you love to do, and trying to make sure that it also aligns in how the world is working right now, and see what is a lot more marketable for you to actually break free from that. So it's a lot of it. There's discipline, there's skill sets, there's
wisdom,
acquiring
of information, especially skill sets. Like the utility of skill sets, not many people know how much that is important. If you want to be promoted at your work, which will in terms increase your income, you need to utilize your skill set. You need to increase your skill set.
Exactly.
So if you come back home from 9 to 5 job, you get home, you watch a movie instead of learning or studying about your skill set, you can maximize on it. The one who's studying would be the one that would get promoted at work, because they are utilizing their skill set. So an umbrella statement is like skill sets. Some of the things that we can control, we need to maximize on it. Like we can't control maybe the first one, the structure, the systems. We can't control your starting point.
Like background. You can't choose where you can't
choose where you come from. You can't choose your parents. You can't choose where you were born. But you can choose your discipline. You can choose how you're thinking. You can. So I'm gonna shift here to the second part of this, which I think is gonna be very interesting. So I was studying Solomon, right?
Right.
And Solomon asked an interesting question to God when God prompted him with a endless possibility of what do you want?
Yeah.
Like imagine a God asking a mortal man, what do you want? Right? You could literally say anything.
Yeah.
And Solomon say, I want wisdom.
Knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, knowledge and wisdom. And I think Solomon was not foolish.
Not
Because only a wise person would ask for wisdom.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually interesting because, I mean, in as much as we are discussing all this, right? You and one wishes to be on the bright side of society, or wishes to be on the fortunate side of society. Whatever you are trying to acquire, it has to at least end up in someone with a brain.
Use a brain, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying by all means to try and make that sound
Politely.
Yeah, polite, right? Yeah. So, yeah, it has to end up with someone that has at least a brain, right?
It's kind of like, have you ever wondered why a rich person would sit down with a person who's young and still ask them questions and attentively pay attention to them?
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean,
yeah, it's vice versa. A person who lag will normally just feel as if they know everything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a very huge factor as well. You know what I've realized, right? As far as this topic is concerned, not just as far as this topic is concerned, I was taking a self-introspection, and I realized that people don't realize it, but sometimes, the people who've had the most impact in your life are people that you probably just had one conversation with around, like, especially this topic. Yeah, like people that you've just had like one conversation with.
Yeah.
And it kind of just shifts your perspective.
Yeah.
Because that way you are gaining knowledge as pertaining to a discipline, pertaining to a structure or whatever you're trying to get.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like asking for knowledge is much better than asking for something else, anything else, because you could ask for anything else, like Solomon, for example. You said God that is in possession of everything, right? He owns everything, and comes to you and says, "What do you want?" And I'm pretty sure he knew that God is going to give me anything I say right now, and in someone else's perspective, it could be reasonable to ask for something in which he was lacking at that point, right? But he just went ahead and said, I am asking for knowledge and wisdom, because he knows that if I have the knowledge, right, which is knowing, yeah, and I have the wisdom, which is applying what I have known, I am going to end up amassing anything that seems impossible.
Yeah.
And it's not just about money.
Yeah. It's not about
it's not just about wealth, right? It's about everything else.
Responsibility. It's about
responsibility.
The people around you. It's about taking care of your family. It's about everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's kind of funny, but you could use this example too. He married several wives.
700 wives and 300 concubines, so a total of 1,000.
Yeah, man, and that's a man, man.
That's it, man.
And he has, so for example, he has 1,000 women, and he's having to actually navigates around all, and this is funny, all the drama that 1,000. So it needs a lot of wisdom too. You get it, I mean? So yeah, so he actually applied the knowledge and wisdom that God entrusted with him towards different aspects of his life.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, knowledge and wisdom is
It's very important. And you notice, like, the Bible say that he acquired massive wealth afterward.
Yeah.
So it's like he could have asked, "Guy, give me riches, money," and he wouldn't have had the information or the wisdom to apply that.
To steward it
properly. But when he asked for wisdom and knowledge and wisdom, he can acquire wealth on his terms, steward it properly, and gain more wealth. So it's like this understanding of, if you look at it from a secular standpoint, the rich continues to get rich and the poor continues to get poor. It's like the rich are asking the right question.
Yes, it's sort of like a focus. Like what are you focusing?
What are you focusing on? Yeah.
You know, back in the day, I wouldn't lie, especially when I was a lot younger, and if I meet like relatives, you know how you have like, there's always that rich uncle.
Yeah.
So if you meet relatives, all I could think of when I'm meeting them was, how much are they gonna leave me with? How much are they gonna give me? Like, how much I need money right now.
Yeah.
We used to joke with that about that with Josh. Like, there's this one uncle, like, this guy is good, and every time he comes over, we need something from him, right? And unfortunately, up until this point, I don't know how he got to that point. And I'm older now. I don't need $100 from him. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
I need a lot, right? I need a lot, and which is information.
Yeah.
So lately, I found myself being fortunate enough to end up in a group, rather in interactions with people that are on a certain side of society, and not just wealth, even information, even just knowledge and careers and academia and all that stuff. And I feel like I have tried to train myself more to ask the questions that would actually give me knowledge than actually give me what they have. Yeah, because now you are not at a point where a certain amount of money would please you. That, of course, appears on the low side of the scale. You're at a point where you need information to shift your perspective around different aspects of society as far as inequality is concerned.
Yeah.
Like wealth, for example. If I meet a rich person right now, I probably don't need money from them. Perhaps I do, but I wouldn't ask for it. Yeah. I wouldn't ask for it. I would actually talk to them, like have conversations with them around just how they think. Not even just like how they got rich and all that, because I'm of the view that you can't emulate exactly how someone got rich. You can. Yeah.
You know what you say? I was listening to someone actually, and they say, don't copy like someone like Bill Gates' way of becoming rich, because he came from something.
Exactly.
You came from nothing.
Yeah.
If you copy him, you won't have the same formula. It's a whole different formula. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, I mean, well, somehow this topic of inequality and wealth in general is not something you can break free from just merely by copying, rather doing what someone else does. But knowing how someone in a different bracket from you, knowing how they think, like knowing how that person thinks, and knowing just how they relate with life in general, could kind of get you somewhere and help you
Yeah,
in a way.
I think that's more beneficial.
Yeah, it's
And you
more
can go to a next
beneficial.
level of that, which is ask them for investment.
Yeah,
Lay
yeah,
out a roadmap of what you want to do and help
yeah,
invest
exactly.
into this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it's actually so important to amass information before you amass wealth.
You amass wealth, yeah.
Yeah.
There's with Solomon, when he had acquired wealth and all these things, we see that there's a delay of kind of deviating from the connection with God, which is like something that it's very interesting. It's like the more you can acquire so much money to a degree to which that becomes a stumbling block between you and God, and you can have no money at all, to which also that could become a stumbling block between you and God. So it's interesting. I always like to see that parable. It's like the parallel of like where Solomon had acquired enough money
Right.
at the beginning of his life. He was someone who was dedicating himself to the servitude of God.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, he found himself saying meaningless, all is meaningless.
Oh,
And
yeah. Always vanity.
all is vanity. And you know what's interesting? So if we focus on the last structure, which is the behavior and skill set, and I found this very interesting, is that I found myself sometimes where I'm making enough money, and when I make that enough money, my focus during that period is usually on the maximizations of the skill set.
Right.
And because you're so focused on utilizing your skill set, you kind of forget the gratitude portion of it. So
Right. Yeah.
you can set up a goal. You can set up a goal of like, I want to attain this amount of money.
Right. Right.
And once you attain it, it feels as if that's not enough. Now you need to attain more.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that kind of resonates with what I was studying lately about the whole psychology of money and all that. And so this guy makes an illustration of, rather makes a recommendation of saying, don't be in a hurry to postpone, rather to push your goalpost after you have attained what you want to attain. So and I feel like we kind of fall on that side usually, like a lot, where, for example, you set a goal, right? To achieve, like you set a goal to achieve, and then before you go there, you've already extended the goalpost. That may seem promising and may look good to one person, but in theory it's not, because at the end of the day, you are not recognizing the progress you're making. It's good to set a goal, get to that goal, recognize the progress, and push and get to another goal. Like, set goals in bits, but we are more focused on pushing the goalpost before we even get to it, and then end up living a life where we are not grateful and we're not happy. Like, we're just constantly sad because we feel like we haven't gotten to where we want to
get to.
Yeah, when in
Not
a sense,
realizing you probably have already got there.
yeah, when in a sense you're just being ungrateful to some extent, because you are not noticing. I see a lot of people saying how can I phrase it? I think it's like posts on social media where someone says one is living in their blessings without noticing that this is actually what they prayed for. As good as that sounds, it's sad, because you actually have to recognize that you have attained
What you pray for.
what you pray for,
Yeah.
right? Which is kind of sad as well. But as a joke I wanted to make this one time about attending attending something and recognizing it and celebrating your little win. There's one time, right? I think the first time, I think this is fun. The first time because I tried to actually recognize goals that I've said, like hitting goals. So there's this one time, the first time actually, I had gotten to a certain amount, right? Like having a certain amount, like
Yeah.
maneuvering around and having a certain amount. I think, how much is that? I think the first time I saw 5,000.
Yeah.
Right? I was so happy. Yeah, the first time I saw a 5,000, I was so happy, and I was trying to celebrate it. I went out. I went out with my brother. Actually, I bought a meal, and that week was just like celebration and celebration. After the week, I was like, I didn't have that much. You get what I mean?
I anticipated that.
Yeah, after the week, I didn't have that much. I didn't have that much. So that was funny, but so it kind of, I mean, that just shows that I was grateful at the end of the day. I was grateful to get to that point. You get what I mean? So I at least knew how to get back to that point.
Yeah.
And I did all it took to get back there and try to like get even better.
Get even better,
from
yeah.
that. So yeah, it's very important to be grateful and just recognizing that you have attained what you prayed for. You have attained the goal you set as far as finances are concerned. Yeah, it's very,
Yeah. I think it's very important, especially when you were saying, I just noticed something. Usually when I'm set up a goal, and once that goal is about to reach, I set up a new goal. I already have in mind what the new goal is.
Yeah, but
Before I even got to that.
yeah, but and then now you end up living a life that you're not really as happy in a way,
Yeah.
because there's a certain type of gratification that comes when you set a goal, and hit it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any goal, like there's just a certain type of gratification you get when you set something and hit it. But if you set something and before you hit it you set another one, you postpone your gratification to a time that is not guaranteed, because a heart of man is usually in search for more.
In search for more. Yes, that is true.
So it's almost like that search will keep increasing exponentially too. It will keep increasing and
Yeah.
increasing, and you end up living a life. That's why there's people that say money doesn't bring you happiness. I feel like that's why people say that, because it's almost like they set goal. You set a goal, and before you hit it, you set another one, and I would call it greed. The greed will make you keep setting until you get to a point you can't get to.
Yeah. Then you're
Limits to
cooked.
infinity.
Yeah. Then
Yeah,
you're cooked.
you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, but if you are one person that actually sets a goal, recognize it and actually embrace it, and then set another one healthily, that helps you in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think being grateful in every step of the way is very important. If you can be grateful with the little that you have accomplished, then that will give you enough energy to aim for another goal. But you have to be grateful first in that little that you have accomplished. And also, there is only so much you can acquire as a human being to where you think it's not gonna impact you, but it's gonna impact you greatly.
Yeah.
So money is amplifier, right? It's
Right.
not really it doesn't change a person, it just amplify a person.
Right.
You know, the change happened because the amplification is it's steady, but it's faster.
Yeah.
So if you were reserved because you didn't have money, that fact that you didn't participate in that activity is because you were reserved because you didn't have money.
Well,
But once you got the money, you don't have that limitation anymore. So the reservation is broken.
and that's where the argument of does money make you happy? Does money make one happy or not? Lies in, like, what do you think? Does money make you happy? Does money make people happy? Can money make you happy?
I think money gives you the opportunity to be more happy than if you didn't have money. It gives you the opportunity, the chances to be more happy. So if you have money, then you can create happiness around it. So for example, if you set up a goal, like I want to get $1 million.
Yeah.
And then if I get that $1 million, this is what would happen with my life. Once you get to the $1 million, if the perceptions to which you set up at the beginning is met, then you have that gratifications that comes with you achieving that $1 million, so you become happy. But if you hit that $1 million and that perceptions that you begin with that is not met, and ultimately you resent the fact that you thought when you hit it, you feel this way, but you don't feel that way.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people say, does money make you happy? Money doesn't. I think it does.
Of course you think it does.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, forget the material stuff, forget the gadgets, forget the everything. I mean, they make me pretty happy, I wouldn't lie. But forget that.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to take care of a situation, like one of your family members is sick, right? Like they're very sick, and like mom said today at church, where we will pray, but you will still have to go to the hospital, so that they do the necessary health procedures on you, right? But imagine you have enough money to take your loved one to the most expensive hospital and pay the bills right away, so that they take care of them and they get better in like sooner, right? That is going to make you happy. Yeah. Like for example, I look at it as a life where you are able to take care of the people you love, right? That is actually where the happiness is derived from.
Yeah.
You're able. I think you said this on one of the podcasts. I've just forgotten the episode where you said your happiness is derived from seeing other people happy. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And how money makes you happy in that sense is being able to solve different kind of situations for your loved ones. That honestly makes me the most happy.
Yeah.
Like if I'm able to notice a problem and I can take action on it real quick, simply because I have the capacity to do that at that point. That makes me happy, because I mean, frankly speaking, money has solved that.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? And I remember telling you this earlier, that I think I think we were, it was the same one or something, where Apostle Joshua Selman was saying, money doesn't solve everything, but a place where, rather a situation that money solves, nothing else can solve it.
Except for money.
Except for money.
Yeah.
So it remains a vital tool
it's very important
for us.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so That's what I think.
So the prayer, and I think this came from Ecclesiastic, if I'm not mistaken, it's like, give me enough that I can take care of everything that I need to take care of, but not too much to the point where I lose myself.
Right.
But don't take away everything to the point where I have to go steal from someone else because I don't have anything.
Yeah.
So I think there's that striking balance that need to be established, because the issue with saying money is not enough is not normally because you are unable to feel gratification from helping someone. It's usually because you get to the point where enough is not enough.
Yeah, and that's where
You
greed
just keep
comes in.
wanting to acquire more, and that, like what you say, you don't find gratifications in setting up a goal and acquiring that goal and accomplishing it. So ultimately you end up constantly wanting to get more and more and more and more. Next thing you know, there's a void, endless void in you. But if you can acquire something and you know the direct effect of that acquisition would bring to you, then ultimately you'll be happier. Money is gonna bring you happiness if that is the case.
So you're not accepting my argument?
Based on your reasoning, I do.
No, not based on my reasoning.
Based on your
we're trying to-
reasoning, yes.
We're trying to
But
come
I
up
wouldn't generalize it.
bro, I mean, well, you've answered everything. I mean, you do generate, okay, let's just say you do generate a substantial portion of happiness from acquiring money.
Okay.
And we're just talking about like money in general, like just having it,
Yeah.
right? You do generate a substantial portion of happiness from just being able to acquire that.
I just thought of something. Someone said that I've met a poor man, a garbage man, who's more happy than a rich man. And I think someone asked him, like, have you ever been a garbage man? Because if you're in that situation, bro, you have to worry about what to eat the next day. That's not happiness. That's not peace.
Yeah, that's not peace. It's just so important to, like, as far as, because we're talking about inequality, right?
Yeah.
It's just so important to actually realize that when you get to the top side of inequality, because it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like trying to strive for equality is a means. So you just try by all means to be on the top side of that inequality. So if we get to that point, the main thing to do at that point, right? Of course, we're striving to get to that point.
Yeah.
And the main thing to do when we get to that point where we're at least in the top side of the unequal distribution of resources is being able to embrace that and recognize it and be grateful.
Be grateful, yeah.
I feel like we kind of it's so sad that we are an ungrateful generation even without realizing it. Like we focus so much on attaining goals without actually being grateful that we are attaining them. Yeah, so that's actually that's so bad. And that's just so bad. Unfortunate too.
Let me just to conclude here. I think we already passed the time, but I was going to incorporate the talent story, but we can do that later next time. Just so we don't have too much time on this, but to kind of end with this, and this is something that is fascinating. So starting from both the secular world points, is that there is no one society that has been able to solve the problem of inequality.
Yeah.
Not even one. Not even the Nordic countries. society, which seems to be more focusing on the distributions of resources, and even them, they have not been able to solve it. So you can think about like an introductions of communism or these other sets of political political standpoint that is trying to bring an end to inequality. But even in the old times, you find it was there. Like there were a portion of people who amasses wealth in society are a small portion. And even in the Bible, that also is showcasing itself that there are people who were at the starting point were not the same as the one who started off with something.
Lazarus,
and that is just
that guy was rich. He was, you see, he was on the unfortunate side of the story, but you see how he was still being constantly referred to as the rich man.
As the rich man. Because he was the rich man. And kind of like, okay, you know what, let me just end with this. The talent of the sower, right? The talent of the parable of the talent. So there's a master, right? And that master, Jesus was giving the parable. The master distributed talents to 3 people. The first one, he gave a lower portion, and the last one, he gave a higher portion. Now, we found out why that was the case, because at the end of this, when the master wanted to return and get back the money that he had invested into them, the talent that he had invested into them, he was also requesting an interest. It's like a bank, right? Oh, yeah. A bank giving you a loan so you can go invest into something.
Yeah.
The first one buried it, and they got a little one, but the last one invested into something. They multiplied that. Yeah. So I think it's very important to know that if you don't have anything at the beginning, it's okay to get a loan and start something.
Yeah.
Because he was lending. This is like a biblical, it's a biblical story, but he was lending. The master was lending money. He was lending talent. At the end of it, he came back and get the money back. I mean, he gave back the money to the person who multiplied. Right. Because ultimately, when you can multiply wealth, you get a reward from that multiplication. So the money that you lended, you get that money back and plus more.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like to whom much is given, much is required. And the one who has something will be given more, but the one who doesn't have anything, even the thing that they have, will be taken away from them.
Rightfully so. I mean, that's where being able to apply the skills and everything you have learned into actually trying to amass more and invest and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I know, but I'm taking you back to this.
Yeah.
Saving doesn't get you.
Saving doesn't get you.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I mean, okay, let me just saving only.
Yeah, saving only doesn't get you. Yeah.
Right. That's true for a fact.
Let's do another podcast on this. Maybe we can touch more on it and make it practical. Let's say, for example, we can touch on one particular investment or something.
Yeah,
that would be more beneficial.
Yeah, that'll be good.
That'll be good. Yeah. Or something practical. But guys, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit a new milestone. The more you subscribe, the more equipment we have, the more things we have in store, the more video we do, the more investment basically do, and then the more people we can bring actually with the particular set of expertise. So subscribe, comment if you were blessed or you were touched by what we talked about, like, share. We'll see you next time. This is the Elevate Podcast.
Yep.